Hello boys and girls, welcome to Mrs. Bandu's Math Movies. This is for my algebra class, lesson 3-3, equations with variables on both sides. Our objectives are to solve equations with variables on both sides and to identify equations that are identities or have no solution. Okay, so first off, an identity is defined as an equation that is true for any value, or every, I should say every, not any, but every value of the variable. Okay, now when we're doing this, if we have variables on both sides of the equation, our first step is going to actually be to get the variable located on one side or the other of the equation and then follow our equations solving steps. Okay, so let's start with this one. You can buy a skateboard for $60 from a friend and rent the safety equipment for $1.50 an hour, or you can rent all items you need for $5.50 per hour. How many hours must you use the skateboard to justify buying your friend's skateboard? Okay, so basically what you're trying to do is figure out how much it's going to cost if you have to buy and rent the safety equipment. You want to see where that equals renting everything, the skateboard and the equipment. So you set those numbers equal to each other, or those values equal, because beyond that point, any longer or any more time that you spend, it's going to be more cost efficient to actually purchase the skateboard. So the friend's skateboard plus the rental equipment is equal to the renting both the skateboard and the rental equipment. Okay, so H is the number of hours you must skateboard. So if we do, the cost of the friend's skateboard is $60. Equipment rental is 1.5 H, $1.50 times the number of hours. All right, and if you're going to rent both, that's $5.50 H. So we're just going to make that 5.5 H. We don't need the extra zero. You're welcome to put it if you want to. So that basically gives us 60 plus 1.5 H is equal to 5.5 H. Okay, so again, my goal is to get the variable isolated on one side of the equation. Since it's only the variable here, I'm going to move the other one. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 1.5 H from each side. And that's going to leave me 60 on the left hand and 4H on the right hand side of the equation when I combine like terms. Now I'll divide each side by 4. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So H is 15. So 15 hours. You must use your skateboard 15 hours to justify buying your, or really over 15 hours to justify buying that. Okay? All right, and again, remember the idea is if there's one side of the equation that has only a variable term there, leave that one there, go to the other side and move that variable term. That way you're not going to have quite so many steps, and it'll be an efficient way of handling the algebra involved. There's a quick check right here. I'm going to continue on to example number 2. Identities and equations with no solutions. We want to solve each equation. So we're going to look at a couple of special cases here. One that has no solution, and then one that is determined to be an identity. Okay, so if we start out with negative 6z plus 8 is equal to z plus 7 minus 10z. Here we need to combine like terms, so we get negative 6z plus 8 is equal to negative 6z plus 10. Okay, so our first step is to try to combine the variables to one side or the other. So it doesn't really matter what you're going to do here, except that you must, add 6z to each side because they're both negative 6z. So negative 6z plus 6z, 0 out, and you're left with 8. Negative 6z plus 6z are 0, and you're left with 10. So your statement is 8 is equal to 10. This is not true for any value of z. That's never going to be the case. So the equation has no solution. So if you end up with a false statement here, and that should be your clue that this does not have any solutions. Okay, another special situation. 4 minus 4y is equal to negative 2 times the quantity 2y minus 2. Again, we want to use our distributive property, and negative 2 times 2y is negative 4y. Negative 2 times negative 2 is plus 4. So what I'll do here is I will add 4y to each side. So 4 minus 4y plus 4y is equal to 4. Negative 4y minus 4y, negative 4y plus 4y is 0. Plus 4 is 4. This is always going to be true. So the equation is true for every value of y. Therefore, the equation is an identity. So no matter what value we choose for y, it's always going to come out equal. Those two sides will always come out equivalent to each other. So that is when you have an identity. Okay, if you will please complete your quick check questions on this section, and